up, everybody? I'm Leo Reyes Rayon, and that is
Joshua Glazer.
yeah, man. That was like a WWE intro. All right, Bruce Buffer. Anyway, yeah. So today we're talking about the greatest college quarterback of all time, hailing from Atlanta.
You
Uh,
mean Vince Young?
oh yeah, well the second greatest. Well,
You mean,
third,
you mean
Tim
Joe
Tebow.
Joe Burrow? You mean Joe
Oh
Burrow?
damn! Oh no, man! Wow. All right, so I'm sorry, Cam. Sorry, man.
Put
Fourth,
it this way: the most explosive
right?
college quarterback, most freak 1 year explosion of a quarterback. Probably
Right.
can't.
Cam Newton. So yeah, man. It's been an interesting, really 2 years almost. You know what I mean? Uh, and now he's been cut. You know what I mean? After they tried to trade him, I guess they couldn't get anything. You know what I mean? And it seems like every team that seems like would be a decent landing spot for Cam is saying, they don't want him. So, you being a Saints fan, the arch nemesis of the Carolina Panthers and every other team in the NFC South, I'm going to just hand you the ball and let you just go in,
Yeah,
man.
Cam's special, man. He's always been a special place in my heart. First started it when he was in college. He had a special place at Florida where he couldn't handle being the backup with Tebow, and he decided he needed to get him some of these fine laptops they have at Florida. But that was all right. That was on brand at that time. So he learned from that. I don't hold that against him. Well, you shouldn't rob people. That's good, but probably not good to rob people. Yeah, but anyway. So then he went to middle of nowhere, did the whole junior college. He had his rebirth. So he changed man, went to Auburn, and was freaking amazing. Was just killed us at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Had one of those games. And won the national championship, and was just a different dude. There was never, I mean, he was like a bigger Vince Young almost,
Right.
and probably a better passer than Vince Young
True.
was.
True.
But it was just very, very special run. And then he got drafted and was really in an upward trajectory. Great first year. Didn't have a lot, but had enough. All the way up until he got to his Super Bowl appearance, where he was just amazing that year. He was just, they had the perfect system. It was a lot of reads, a lot of running back option stuff. And unfortunately, it was unsustainable,
Right.
which you kind of saw coming. Got to the end of the year, it's why they lost in the Super Bowl, was even to a busted up Peyton Manning and the Broncos at that time, that Cam just couldn't, they didn't put the pieces around him, and he didn't evolve enough. And then ever since then, it's kind of been, he kind of held tight for a little bit, and then the trajectory is just going down and down and down. A
Mm-hmm.
lot due injuries, a lot to do with just really shaky GMing by the, I don't know if that's even a word, but picking players and talent evaluation by the Panthers on offense especially. They just didn't know how to draft a receiver to save their life. Like if they had a hostage situation, they had to pick a receiver, they would probably pick Devin Funchess again. So there's that. Ron Rivera, good coach, nice man, didn't do a damn thing to really help Cam by the end. And it just, he broke down piece by piece, and that's where he was by the end. He finally got his shoulder back at the beginning of last year. He was looking okay. He had started to make some of the throws. McCaffrey was really looking good for him. Really, he was able to just really lay everything to him constantly. And then his foot went. And then he was just done for the year pretty much. And it was the Kyle Allen show. And it's hard when you have a guy that's a leader like that on the team in terms of just the energy. I don't know. There's always talk about whether he's a good leader, whether teammates like him, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. He gave that team juice. That team had juice like no other team in terms of coming to the Superdome and playing well when he was at his best. So he
Right.
has that. He's a winner. That's the positives. He's always won. When he's healthy, he's won the MVP. How many people can say that? So good Cam is elite.
Yeah.
The problem is, does that Cam exist anymore? And can he actually consistently throw a ball throughout a year without his shoulder falling apart from all the hits that he took?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very interesting situation. It's just who's going to take that risk and how much is he going to be at a discount in terms of pricing, in terms of what he gets paid, because of the situation now with the coronavirus and the way that they can't do physicals. They can't really look. He can say he's fully healthy, but who the hell cares what he says? Of course he's gonna say he could have one limb missing and no one could see anything, and you say, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Yeah, you're right.
He'll throw a ball. I mean, that's kind of a horrible image, but anyway, he's a special player. But if I was him, I would go to a team like similar to what Teddy Bridgewater did after his knee injury. Take a year off or two, and really, I know he's older than Teddy, but still have his body get really healthy, go with really good coaching. The problem is, I don't know if the character and the mentality that he plays with and the way that he prepares can handle being on the bench, because he's never really been on the bench. The last time he was on the bench was Florida, and you saw what happened, where he got arrested or whatever, got kicked off the team because he was robbing people because he was bored, basically, I guess. I don't know what the full story is, but whatever. Yeah, the three teams, I don't know. What do you have anything different in terms of your analysis of?
I mean, like, I kind of just feel like this is like the typical route of like kind of like, you know, those running quarterbacks in NFL. Even though like Cam is you know what I mean, big, you know what I mean, looks like he can. And I mean, if he didn't play, like if he played another position, like, you know, maybe he's healthy enough to play like another position. You know what I mean? But you know.
Yeah, the amount of perfect body mechanics you need to throw a ball consistently.
It's tough. You know what
And
I mean?
he was never, the issue with him is he was never a consistently natural, accurate passer. It was always seemed very forced, and everything had to be perfect.
Right,
Like, he's not an off-platform thrower in terms of being off balance. If you can watch his feet, if you watch replays of him, watching him, you can see if his feet aren't in the position that they're supposed to be, you know it's going to be high.
Yeah.
Or you know it's going to hit the ground like 10 feet before the receiver. It's just, it was hard to watch towards the end.
Yeah. So I agree, man. I think that I think that he never really, like, although the team played well, especially in that Super Bowl year, man, like, I kind of feel like exactly like how you said, like, it wasn't a system that was built to last. You know, he never really had a coach or a team that really could just make it easy on him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that team was interesting because they found the perfect mix of all these veterans like Ted Ginn and guys they drafted like D'Angelo Williams and Stewart, and they had an offensive line that was really good at going forward and knocking you off the ball. A lot of big dudes, and they were able to just work with those old guys. The problem is they weren't able to draft guys that could fit those roles and replace them when those guys got too old.
Right, exactly.
And a lot, especially with those running backs, is the whole phrase is "Father Time is undefeated," and they just didn't have it even after that year. I think they started to fall apart. So, and it really showed all of Cam's issues, and I think part of it also was that he struggled. There may have been the book on how to beat him, and that scheme may have been written in the Super Bowl. Similar to what happened with the Rams when they played the Patriots in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. In terms of, all right, that's how you beat him in terms of this scheme. And if you hit him and hit him and hit him, he's not going to consistently make passes.
Yeah,
that's what happened. They never really did a good job of protecting.
Yeah. I agree.
And part of it was them, and also part of it was
him. Yeah,
he was holding on to the ball too much. So it was just
And I think he was the kind of player that he kind of like he liked like he liked to hit. You know what I mean? He like
Yeah,
he was used to running over everybody his whole life. You know what I mean? He's used to being able to take the hits, but it's different when you have people like DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller and you know what I mean Cam Jordan and you know what I mean these are big people who are big. You know what I mean? So yeah, he just
these are grown men.
yeah. So
He wasn't playing as kids anymore. So some of the teams that I see, you can tell me if I'm crazy, but who knows? Maybe he goes to New England and Bill resurrects his career.
well, Bill Belichick said apparently there was like right before we did this, I just seen something that said nah.
Oh well, there.
you know?
Who knows? That may be a whole thing
Yeah,
about
right,
the
true.
price down, and
Hmm.
maybe New Orleans is a place where he comes in and is the backup and sits there and heals. That's another option. Other teams that could possibly be there, maybe Jacksonville, but with Jay Gruden, like we said previously in the Jacksonville podcast, I don't see him fitting in that scheme, and I don't think Jay Gruden's. You could see what he did with RG3. He didn't know what the hell he was doing when he's not running his scheme. So I don't think that's a situation.
Hmm.
Maybe he pulls. I mean, if all he wants to do is extend his career, and he's not, which kind of this runs contrary to everything we know about Cam. But if he just wants to extend his career as a backup and maybe get back into it later, he goes to a team that runs this offense already. Maybe he goes to a Buffalo and backs up Josh Allen. Maybe he goes to a who else is a mobile place? You can't go to Baltimore because they already have RG3.
Well, I mean, honestly, the Redskins. you know what I mean with
Yeah, but Haskins isn't running. Yeah, maybe the Redskins pull a weirdest move in the history and they bring in Cam Newton to back up a guy like after they also traded for Kyle Allen.
Right.
So it'd be another. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but yeah, you never know. I mean, I feel like I'm missing another mobile quarterback. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at.
I feel like another thing too that I seen like literally right before they were talking about him going to Philly and backing up Wentz. You know what I mean? I forgot who that came from, but I did see that there was a report. You know what I mean?
Shit, you're not gonna find a backup quarterback with a higher upside. You just have to have an offensive mind that is flexible. So maybe shit. What if he goes to Kansas City, backs up Mahomes?
That would be nice.
And they just have him as a whole different thing. They use him in the red zone. Who knows? I mean, the problem is, where is he going to go to where he can get the coaching he needs to learn how to be a quarterback that doesn't have to run to make his money?
Right, exactly.
Because his body obviously can't take it anymore. He can't go through a year because he doesn't know how to slide consistently. He doesn't know how to avoid hits. He's not that kind of runner, and that's always been it's kind of been a ticking time bomb where you almost have to view him as in the clock of a running back. And it's similar. It kind of lines up if you look at it that way because he's now 30 years old, and a lot of running backs, they're done by 30. A lot of really big physical guys don't last past 30 or so.
True.
So, I mean, this is what we've had these conversations many times on the phone talking about this. All the way back to when he was in the Super Bowl, how annoying it was that there was this potential and they just screwed it up, similar to what at least they got to a Super Bowl with the Redskins. I can go days and days about that, living in the DC area and experiencing that and how they screwed that up. But it's a similar concept of not truly evaluating your player and realizing that, all right, we're making long-term investment, so we have to treat him as a long-term investment.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't just close our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar to what, looking back, like with the Titans have a decision with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, right.
How are we going to give him some help? So either we're going to use him up this year and not re-sign him, or we're going to give up a bunch of money and add another player and extend his career. So it's similar to we'll see how this plays out. I don't know. I don't see him getting signed until the regular season starts, whenever that is. Because I think he'll hold out and wait and see what the need is. I mean, who knows if in Chicago one of those guys gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He could fit that scheme pretty well. I mean, their offensive line is horrendous, but he's better than Mitchell Trubisky. So
yeah, man.
I guess I don't know.
So I'd agree, man. I mean, obviously at this point, it's like I think you got to kind of start looking at him as, like you said, a backup quarterback. I mean, you said something that I hadn't really heard anyone say. I mean, backing up Patrick Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, you know.
What the thing that I would, if I was his agent, I was talking to him, I would look at two places. I mean, two things to look at. One, if I'm going to be a backup, it needs to be with a guy that has a track record of developing quarterbacks and building off of them. What if he goes to San Francisco and backs up Jimmy Garoppolo and they use him in that zone scheme? It's similar to what they had in Carolina. He's so much motion. They could, I would go to the most creative people and say, all right, what's the best deal? I would go, if I was his agent, go to every great play caller and see what the deal is and how much you can get. And then you just put all those offers up on a board, see which was the best, see where he wants to live, and almost treat this as a redshirt year.
Right, true. Yeah, that's good, man. So yeah, I think we pretty much nailed that one in the wall, man. So
yeah, that's the thing is, hopefully we gave some hope to the Cam people out there.
Yeah.
I don't dislike Cam. I just find him mildly annoying because of all the shit he used to do.
Well, I mean, you're a Saints fan, dude. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so I completely understand, bro. So, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see, man. I hope the best for him, man. I want him to continue, and I want to see him play good, man.
I heard one rumor that they were thinking of sending him to Atlanta. And the issue was that they they were worried Matt Ryan was going to get his feelings hurt or something if they had Cam Newton behind him because they thought he was too dainty or something.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. Wait till we do NFC South.
Yeah.
I might hurt some people's feelings with that, but that's okay. That's the point of this. So I hope you really enjoyed this. This is the first. We're going to do a lot of topics like this on this podcast, Raising Glaze. And it may not all be sports. It'll be some social stuff, some other stuff, and just kind of keep it fresh, kind of keep y'all entertained while y'all are quarantined and hanging out with your fam. I know they may get annoying after a while, but just remember you gotta keep them mentally in a good place. Right.
Right. Yep. So yeah, man. Hey, like and subscribe. We'll have some more stuff coming to y'all soon. Raising Glaze podcast. Peace, y'all.
Peace out.